Hi, welcome to my video. Today I'm going to be testing out some Prismacolor pencils, and I heard a myth, a rumor from some artist friends that if you bake these pencils in an oven, so you can prevent the chipping or cracking of the pigment and binder within the pencil. And here you can see there's a little piece, a little chunk of white. Sometimes you'll sharpen the pencil and you'll get these little sections that will just slip right out of the casing. So I'm going to go ahead here and test it. I'm sharpening a black Prismacolor pencil just with a hand sharpener, doing what you would think would always work, and testing the idea of, whoop, there it is. So you see the pigment has loosened, or little pieces have fractured inside the casing, and you don't even realize it. Then you go to sharpen it, and your pencil continually gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and you can end up with this tiny little pencil. You end up with this tiny little nub of a pencil left over, and you finally just get pissed off and end up throwing the thing away. You can see now I'm sharpening it. This time it worked, so that little section came out, but there's a little bit of chipping. You see those little shards are falling off the edges, and you go to start drawing with it, and bam, there it goes again. And you've got this little tiny nubbin pencil left, and I'm gonna go ahead and try this out. I'm gonna sharpen some pencils. I'm gonna test this. I'm gonna sharpen some of the pencils, and then I'm gonna bake them, and then I'm gonna retest it by sharpening the pencils that are baked to test the idea. So I start with 24 pencils. These are all different shades of warm reds, cool reds, some violets, some pink, and you can see out of the 24 pencils, they're breaking at about a rate of 1 in 8 pencils. So 1 in 8 pencils broken. So you can see 3 of them are demolished there. They just chipped, or they just fell apart. So what you want to do is take your pencils in a baking sheet, and you want to lay them out evenly next to one another, and you're going to put them on tin foil. You don't want to ruin your oven with this by baking pencils. And then you're going to set your oven to 250 degrees. You want to use a cool oven when you do this. You don't want the oven to already be preheated. So in a cool oven, you're going to set the temperature to 250 degrees. Now I heard that some people bake these up to 8 minutes. I'm going to do 5 minutes here in the video to test this. And we're going to put them into the cool oven, just turned it on to 250. We're going to go ahead and leave them in there for 5 minutes. I would actually, after doing this, you're going to see in a bit that I would probably recommend less than 5 minutes. So I would probably try 2 minutes or 3 minutes. It takes a little while for the oven to work its way up, the temperature to get up. But you can see the pencils here, as they're cooking, or baking, they're starting to become sort of liquidy. They have this liquid material on them, so you can see them melting. Okay, so the pencil's melting, which is probably what you want. Now here, when we take the pencils out, I have a couple of concerns. Once they come out, we have a few issues. One, they start to stick together. They kind of leak a little bit when they turn into, when they start to melt, which you want them to melt because we're rebinding that pigment and wax on the inside of the pencil together to prevent the cracking. The other problem with it is there's like this weird waxy surface that starts to gather on the tips, so they'll have this cloudy substance. I think that's got to do with the wax that's used in the pencil. And then probably the biggest concern, you could really see this in some of the lighter colors, that the casing starts to split. You see the casing is actually fractured all the way down the length of the pencil. So the wood casing is splitting. And this might have to do with the idea that they're being baked a little bit too long. I also noticed that while we're looking at the splitting case and the little cloudiness of the wax, that the pencils warp. The casing actually warps a little bit, so the pencils are not totally round. They start to curve a little bit, which isn't too much of a problem. I mean, it doesn't look really good, but I guess you won't have to worry about them rolling off the table anymore. Yeah, just a little bit of a warped curve to it. So here I am resharpening that same black pencil that had broken before, and you can see here that with the same sharpener, same pencil, after it cooled in the oven, it's pretty good. I mean, it's a pretty clean. It did chip a little bit, it fractured a little bit on the end, but I've since used that pencil and it seems to be back to working pretty well. Here we're moving into some fast forward because I didn't want to have you sit here and watch me sharpen every single pencil, but I ended up sharpening 132 pencils. So 132 pencils, and I broke one. I mean, look at those, look like brand new pencils. So it did work. Out of that whole 132 set of Prismacolor pencils, I broke one after baking them in an oven, 250 degrees, a cool oven, 250 degrees for between 2 and 5 minutes. Let them cool in the oven, take them out, and sharpen them up. And I think you'll be happy with that. So it worked. It's pretty cool. All right, appreciate it. Thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of that video. And if you have not subscribed, please consider doing so. And I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. There's a little button that they put on the laptop or something, and then they say click it, and then you can never even miss a video.
That's if you subscribe.